that's all there is to that.
There you go. What kind of airbrush?
It's called a Grex.
There you go. And a nice little
tiny, Pache compressor, or actually it's an Iwata. This is an Iwata compressor.
Nice and quiet.
Yeah, and it's like a 50-50 water matte medium mix. And so it dries completely, transparent, but it kills almost all the gloss.
Perfect.
So it's the same thing we did before. It's just that I didn't want to brush this because it's smoothly rendered, and any kind of brush strokes would have to work.
Yeah, it would show too much.
Right.
All right. Thank you very much.
No problem.
So you feel like you have to touch it?
I feel like when I do, because I want to it raises the values a little bit, and which is a good thing in a way, because then I can go back and just pick little like dark points that I want to make like really dark, and I have an opportunity to go back and just like touch little areas, and the more that I do that, the more it creates that feeling of depth. Because it's it's in a piece like this where you've got so much gray. Any place where you put a more solid black, it has an effect over the whole piece. Even if it's just a small area of solid black, even if it's just
because your eye picks it up, even though you might not
because
consciously...
your eye automatically sets the dark point there, right?
Right.
And so that suddenly becomes like very important for its kind of believability, I guess. Overall.
Well, because you have used the matte medium on it, it kind of evens everything out, which is what you like, right?
Yeah, what it certainly does. It evens out the reflective quality of the pencil. It's kind of gone now.
But then again, it also evens other things out that you don't want it to even out.
Right, because it actually makes it kind of like the whole image is overall just a little less contrasty than it was, and so you have to go back and pick and choose where you want to bring that contrast back into the image. And obviously, if there are some drawings where you don't want to put matte medium on the top of them, because you like the reflective quality and the textural quality that the kind of shiny graphite gives you.
Right.
But on this particular paper, which is the Stonehenge, it doesn't really want to be very shiny anyway. Because when I render on Stonehenge, it tends to want to be matte.
Okay.
When you render on a glossy paper, it wants to be shiny because it's more of a smooth surface.
Mm-hmm.
So you just go back and very selectively pick the areas where you it's like in when you're adjusting photographs. There's a thing called setting your white point in Photoshop. Looking at your white point and your dark point, and so that gives you your value range. So you could do this whole thing. And your darkest point, your black point, could be like a 75% gray. As long as you don't go deeper than that, everything will judge it, will build itself on that 75% dark. But if you suddenly go down to 95%, almost black, then you have to make sure that
everything else balances
out in places where that black should be. You have to go back and put it back in. So. And as far as I'm concerned, when I'm doing a drawing like this, the white point is the paper.
So the paper color, the actual
because this you can
tone
see here when you look at the printout, the printed sheet, that this is much whiter than that.
Let's see if I can get closer. Oh yes.
So you can see it's much whiter. So anything
and you can't go by the white that's on that for your reference.
Well, what you can't do is you can't think about it in terms of, you have to look at like this white here, and realize that on this paper it's already probably 10% gray.
And so everything else on the
everything else gets darker as well once you transfer it over. Same thing with physical reference, like we were talking about the fact that like this is printed on the same paper basically, and you can tell that this is the high point on her shoulder, but that's nowhere near white. But in the actual physical reference of her, that's actually a white, it's as white as this. Almost, but it's not quite. It's like a 10% white, but it's on this paper. So and it doesn't have to matter to you unless it matters to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's all about
correct.
I mean,
that is what is important to you.
Right.
To to see where that is, because it makes then
Right.
the figure more realistic.
Right. Believability in an image is an aggregation of details, and as long as you keep those details in the range that you're working with, like this is not, this image doesn't go from black to white. It goes from, which is roughly a 5 or 6 or 7% gray, which is what this cream color is, to about an 80 or 90% gray or black, which is what the darkest area is in here. Maybe not even that. They're probably more like 70%. Because if I put something black up against it, look, I mean that's black.
It's nowhere near.
It's not even close.
Oh yeah.
So.
Very good. We'll go more in depth with this later.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right.